The year 2011 etched a deep scar into the memory of the American South. From April 25th to the 28th, an unprecedented and catastrophic tornado outbreak tore across the region. It was the largest, costliest, and one of the deadliest tornado outbreaks ever recorded, spawning an astonishing 360 tornadoes. Cities were flattened, lives were shattered, and entire communities were wiped off the map. Amidst this widespread devastation, one storm stood out for its sheer, terrifying power: the Hackleburg tornado. This EF5 monster would carve a path of destruction so complete, it would forever be remembered as one of the most violent tornadoes in recorded history. Our story begins on April 27, 2011. The atmosphere over the southern United States was a volatile powder keg. All the ingredients were in place for a historic severe weather event. Warm, moist air surging up from the Gulf of Mexico, a powerful jet stream screaming overhead, and an unstable air mass ready to explode. Meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center issued a rare high-risk outlook, a stark warning of the life-threatening day that lay ahead. They knew the potential was there for long-track, violent tornadoes. But I don't think anyone could have truly comprehended the scale of what was about to unfold. As the afternoon wore on, supercell thunderstorms began to erupt across Mississippi and Alabama. At 3:43 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a tornado touched down in Marion County, Mississippi. This was the beginning. This was the birth of the monster that would later be known as the Hackleburg tornado. For the first several miles of its life, it was a relatively weak tornado, causing minor tree and structural damage. But as it crossed into Alabama, something changed. The storm rapidly intensified, growing in both size and strength. The warnings became more and more urgent. Tornado emergency flashed across television screens, a dire alert reserved for only the most certain and life-threatening situations, where a large, destructive tornado is confirmed to be moving into a populated area. The town of Hackleburg, Alabama, with a population of about 1,500, lay directly in its path. At approximately 4:58 p.m., the beast arrived. It was no longer just a tornado. It was a mile-wide wedge of pure destruction, a churning, black abyss of debris and wind. Eyewitnesses who survived described a sound that was otherworldly, a deafening roar that drowned out everything else, a combination of a freight train and a jet engine, but 100 times louder. For the residents of Hackleburg, there was nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. The tornado hit the town with the full force of its EF5 rated winds, estimated to be well over 200 miles per hour. It didn't just damage buildings, it obliterated them. Well-built brick homes were swept clean from their foundations, leaving nothing but a bare concrete slab. Cars were tossed like toys, mangled beyond recognition and thrown hundreds of yards. Trees were stripped of their bark and branches, reduced to splintered, naked poles sticking out of the ground. The Wrangler Jeans Distribution Center, a major employer in the area, was completely leveled. The town's high school was destroyed. In a matter of minutes, 75% of Hackleburg was gone. It was a scene of utter, complete annihilation. It looked less like a town hit by a tornado and more like a town that had been bombed. When the storm passed and the terrifying roar finally faded, a horrifying silence fell over what was once Hackle. Survivors emerged from their basements and shelters into a world they no longer recognized. The landscape was a tangled, unrecognizable wasteland of splintered wood, twisted metal, and personal belongings scattered for miles. The human cost was devastating. In Hackleburg alone, 18 people lost their lives. They were neighbors, friends, and family members. First responders and volunteers rushed to the scene, beginning the grim and difficult task of searching for survivors amidst the rubble. Every rescue was a small miracle in a sea of tragedy. But the tornado's reign of terror wasn't over. After leaving Hackleburg, it continued its rampage across northern Alabama, maintaining its terrifying intensity for an incredible distance. It slammed into the town of Campbell, causing more EF5 damage and claiming another 27 lives. The storm's path of destruction was relentless. It tore through forests, scoured the ground, and crossed the Tennessee River into Lawrence and Limestone counties. The sheer longevity and sustained violence of this tornado was staggering. It stayed on the ground for nearly 132 miles, a journey that lasted over 2.5 hours. By the time it finally dissipated near the Alabama-Tennessee border, it had become a legend, a benchmark against which all other violent tornadoes would be measured. In total, the Hackleburg-Campbell tornado was responsible for 72 fatalities. making it the deadliest single tornado in Alabama's history and the deadliest in the United States since 1955. Damage path was a continuous scar on the landscape, visible from space. Surveyors from the National Weather Service were left in awe of the destruction. They noted evidence of extreme ground scouring, where the tornado had literally ripped up asphalt from roads and scoured soil from the earth. The level of damage was so extreme, it pushed the very limits of the enhanced Fujita scale. It wasn't just an EF5, it was a high-end, textbook example of the most violent tornado rating possible. The aftermath of the 2011 super outbreak was a massive humanitarian effort. Aid poured in from across the country. Volunteers, dubbed the Cajun Navy and many others, descended on the hardest hit areas like Hackleburg, offering food, water, and help with the cleanup. The spirit of community and resilience in the face of such overwhelming loss was truly inspiring. People who had lost everything were helping their neighbors search for their own lost belongings. It was a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit. Slowly, painstakingly, Hackleburg began to rebuild. It was a long and arduous process. New homes were built, new businesses opened, and a new school was constructed. But the scars, both physical and emotional, remain. The town is not the same. It carries the memory of April 27, 2011, in its very soul. Memorials now stand to honor the lives that were lost, ensuring that they are never forgotten. The stories of survival, loss, and heroism from that day have become part of the town's identity. Why was this outbreak, and the Hackleburg tornado in particular, so violent? It was a perfect storm in the truest sense of the word. The atmospheric conditions were off the charts, providing an endless supply of fuel for these supercells. The specific track of the Hackleburg storm took it over terrain that allowed it to maintain its strength for an unusually long time. It's a chilling reminder that despite all our technology and forecasting abilities, we are still at the mercy of nature's most powerful forces. Tornadoes like this one are rare, but the 2011 outbreak proved they are not impossible. Today, the story of the Hackleburg tornado serves as a crucial lesson in preparedness and respect for severe weather. It highlights the importance of having a tornado plan, a safe room or basement, and multiple ways to receive warnings. The events of that day spurred advancements in weather forecasting, radar technology, and how we communicate warnings to the public. The tornado emergency alert, used so effectively that day, is now a standard part of the warning system, a direct legacy of the unimaginable horror faced by communities like Hackleburg. As we look back, we remember the 72 people who perished in the path of that single, monstrous tornado. We honor the resilience of the survivors and the communities that rallied to support them. The Hackleburg tornado was more than just a weather event. It was a historic catastrophe that redefined our understanding of what is possible in the natural world and demonstrated the incredible strength and compassion of humanity in the darkest of times. Thank you for joining us on this look back at one of history's most powerful storms. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into incredible historical events. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.